Welcome back everybody to another episode of Build and Drive, where today I'm going to be showing you everything wrong with my N52 rebuild part 2. Let's get it. So if you're just joining us now, this is my N52 B25 engine that I rebuilt in my garage because it was burning oil at 1 liter per 300 kilometers. Now I've already made an update video fixing some of the small issues that we found after the rebuild. You're welcome to check that out, link down below. I know many of you have been following along on this rebuild project for some time. I appreciate everyone that subscribed and dropped likes and comments on the videos. You guys are awesome. Thank you for making these videos as successful as they are. So today we've done just over 20,000 kilometers on the engine, and I wanted to make another update video for you on how the engine's doing and the other problems that we're running into. This would not be a BMW if we didn't have more and more problems. So the first thing is it's still burning oil, and I've been trying to measure the oil consumption for the last year or so. After the rebuild, we had a few oil leaks that screwed up my calculations, but we fixed most of those. We know now that the piston rings are good, the valve stem seals are good, but the piston design, the old piston design, is no good. It doesn't have the correct oil return hole in the piston in the right spot, so it's just a design flaw. These things burn oil. However, we got some ideas on maybe how to fix that. For the last year or so, I have been trying to measure the oil consumption for the rebuild, but we've had a few oil leaks and that has screwed up my calculations. So we fixed most of those in the last video, and taking a look at the engine now, there is a tiny little leak that we found out was from the Vanos, and we're going to replace those in the next video. But I've tried switching from a 5W30 to a 5W40 just to see if that helps with oil consumption a little bit. In the forums they say, yeah, moving to a heavier oil will help you with oil consumption. Well, after extensive research in the forums, everyone's saying moving to a thicker oil will help. I honestly don't believe that, but I decided to try it. So we went from the 5W30 to the 5W40, and I'm about to change the oil. This is a 5W50 oil. It has a BMW certification, so I decided to try this out. I will be changing the oil today, and I'm driving about 1,000 kilometers on vacation this week, so we'll be able to get the data by next week. So if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button to follow along, and if you want some day-to-day updates, you can follow me on Instagram. So let's see if everyone in the forums are right about a thicker oil improving oil consumption. Personally, I don't think so, but you guys can comment below on what you think. I think these BMW engines with the low tension piston rings, it doesn't work. But if you had a Japanese engine that has tighter tolerances, I think that probably could work, but not for these. So then we're going to take a look at the Vanos system. As I said earlier, the Vanos was leaking a bit, and I forgot after the rebuild, you should probably check and clean out the Vanos filters and the Vanos solenoids themselves, just to check and see there's no gunk in there or any metal shavings or gasket material or whatever. So we're going to take a look at those and clean those out. Now we're also going to be checking why the engine has not been running the best. On startup, it has a really rough idle. We've had some catalyst conversion oil codes, which tells us our lambda sensors or something is going bad, or we have a vacuum leak somewhere. So we're going to check the spark plugs to make sure it's not those, because that could be also a cause for the misfire on startup. And also, we've had really bad fuel consumption. Our fuel consumption has gone up a lot this winter, a lot more than usual. So we're going to just double check that our ignition system is okay and everything is working properly, and then we'll move on to checking for vacuum leaks. So if the plugs look good, we'll go to vacuum leaks, but that will probably be another diagnosing video for later, and we'll fix those. So since we have this all apart, we're going to do a compression test on the engine to see if it's in good health. I want to know the compression numbers on a good rebuilt engine that had a new rings done and also a valve job done. So I wonder how much more compression we get on the rebuilt engine than we did the old engine. Now we have our old engine over here sitting in the corner waiting to be taken apart. This engine was getting around 160 to 175 compression, and even though it was still bad and burning oil at 1 liter per 300 kilometers, it was really bad. But this one should have much better compression, so let's check that out today. So enough talking for me, let's jump in and check out how good our engine is doing. So the oil looks to be okay, as you can see. It's that golden brown color. It's not the black burnt color that we were used to when we were burning a ton of oil. So that tells me the motor is running clean. Happy about that. All right, well, I'm gonna clean up now, but I've measured 6.5 liters in here. We're good to go. I'm gonna be driving about 1,200 kilometers in just under 4 days. So I'm gonna bring some of this oil with me, the 5W50, put it in the trunk, and we're gonna see exactly how much mileage we can get. All right, so for the next part of our 20K checkup, we're gonna be looking at the Vanos solenoids, which are right here, and we're gonna just be taking those out. It looks like they are leaking a little bit. They're all kind of wet, and they look like they've collected a lot of grime. That shows that they are probably leaking a little bit there. And when I got underneath the car also, there was a little bit of oil along the power steering pipes, which tells me it is leaking a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is oily here under the engine. So and looking for the leak, it seems to just be a little tiny leak somewhere. As you can see, there's a little drop of oil sitting there on the bottom of the power steering line. So it is leaking still. I mean, it's a BMW, still leaking. And the only thing I can think of it is this Vanos. We're gonna take those out, clean them up. But also, I'm gonna take out the Vanos solenoid filters, which are in under here. I'll show you another view of them on my engine over here. So on this side of the motor, right here, you'll see these two things, and it's a T40 inner torque socket. We'll want to take these out and clean them out. They're filters that help protect the Vanos cam gears from getting any debris stuck in there that will block up the tiny little oil passages that activate your Vanos system, these guys. So I'm gonna try to show this, but I'm just gonna have to fiddle around here until I get the right angle. It's not really easy to get at. So here's how I did it. I was able to fit this up through here. It's right below this bolt here. Just slide it up in there and you'll feel it click into place. And then I was able to put my socket on there to loosen it. And then I was able to finish it off by just twisting it out without the socket. So there is our, well, one of our Vanos solenoids, sorry, Vanos filters. So let's clean this up. Whoa. Oh. Let me get a bucket. It just went everywhere. Alright. This one actually looks pretty good. There you go. I think this is a one-way check valve, so I can see the hole there. So a bit of pressure comes in here and then it pressurizes the Vanos. Alright, let's get the next one. Alright, here's the second one. The screens look really good. So I guess during the rebuild there wasn't a lot of debris in the engine, which is good for me. Yeah, the other one was much dirtier than this. All right, these are all clean. We're gonna shove them back in and move on to the Vanos solenoids. The Vanos filters are a little bit tricky. You kind of have to, it's all by feel because you can't see anything. So yeah, just tighten them snugly. But yeah, those were a pain to get back in. But anyway, here, all you're gonna do to disconnect these is push down on these little tabs here. Actually, I'm gonna plug that back in. I'll put that right there. We're gonna clean those up before we take them out. Okay. So, this short one goes to the top. Come on. Oh my goodness. I need 2 hands for this. These just pop out. Just like that. So, they actually look pretty good. But you can actually test these by hooking up some alligator clips to these pins and just hooking it straight up to a 9-volt battery, and you'll hear it click. But yeah, what you can do is just clean this out. Mine are good to go, so, but yeah, I do recommend you hooking it up to a 9-volt battery and trying to get them to actuate. If you do have Vanos codes, what you can do is actually swap these top to bottom. They're interchangeable, and then clear your codes and then see if they come back and it's swapped banks. So that's how you'll know if one of your Vanos solenoids has gone bad. Pretty clever. Okay, well, I'm gonna do this with the other one. Take it out, clean it up. I don't see any issues with these, so they're going back in, except for this. This is the Vanos seals, and I know that they're going bad on mine because it's sweating a little bit, and that's as hard as a rock. Wow. So yeah, I guess I'll order some more. They're just like 40 bucks though, or something, or so we'll see. I'll try and buy some new seals because that's what's causing our oil leak right now. All right, so for the next part of this, we're going to be taking a look at the spark plugs. I've been having a rough idle upon startup, and that tells me it's either a vacuum leak or it's spark plugs that have been fouled. I checked the lambda sensors on the computer, a bunch of other stuff, and I think everything is good. So I'm assuming one of the spark plugs or 2 of the spark plugs are fouled, or we have a vacuum leak somewhere. So I'll be diving into that. Maybe I'll be cleaning up the map sensor that's right there, and smoke testing this thing later. But for right now, let's take the cowl off and this bar, and we'll be able to get at our spark plugs. Okay, so now we got access to all the spark plugs in the coils. So what we're gonna do, just unplug a coil like that. This should twist out. Look down there, everything looks clean. That means our valve cover gasket's still good. And then we're going to get a long extension with a 16 millimeter spark plug socket. It has a little piece of rubber in there that helps to grab onto the spark plug and lift it out. We're just going to break these loose. Let's see if this thing's been running rich or what's going on with it. Nope, everything looks good on this one. Maybe I'll clean this up with a little bit of sandpaper, but it's nice and clean. No oil really on there. All right, let's do this for the next ones. Now here's something that's not good. Spark plug number 4. And it's got oil on it. So, but the spark plug itself is clean, so that's good. The inside of the engine's good, but I think either maybe our valve cover gasket is leaking, which is not good. Okay, Here are all the spark plugs. They're all good. Usual wear and tear present, but I mean, they're looking really good compared to how they were before. It's first piston 1 to piston 6. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of sandpaper and just clean up the tips, and then we're gonna brake clean them all, get all the oil off of them. I don't know why cylinder 4 had a ton of oil on there. I'm not sure. I think maybe just some oil got down there in the spark plug, but or the valve cover is a little bit loose. I'll just tighten it up a little bit in that area, in that spot, but not sure. Coils all look good, so yeah, sand them down a little bit and we'll put them back in. Okay, so what we've done is I've pulled out all the spark plugs. They all look good. I've unplugged the fuel pump fuse, and now we're going to just remove some of the pressure from the system using the Schrader valve. All right, so we've got the fuel rail pressure relieved using the Schrader valve. I've got my compression tester here. We're going to hook this up to cylinder 1, and we're going to test the compression. So I need 2 hands for this. Let's get this set up. How can we put this so you guys can see? And then I'll go crank this over. So we got it on the charger. We got the compression tester set up. This is cylinder number 1. Okay, so we got close to 175 cold. What I'm gonna do is squirt a bit of oil down there and see if the compression goes up or down. Can you guys tell me why that would matter at all? Squirt a bit of oil. And the engine is cold, by the way. Okay, this is round 2, cold with oil. So 175, just a little bit more, maybe 5 psi more. So anyone in the comments, tell me, what does that mean? Some education for y'all, so I'm not going to give you the answer, but I'm going to go through and check all of these and write down the cold number and then the number with oil. All right, so car's back together. We did the compression test on all the cylinders, so let's just go through all the numbers before we put in oil. So cylinder 1, 172, cylinder 2, 185, cylinder 3, 192, cylinder 4, 185, cylinder 5, 182, cylinder 6, 175. So I think everything is good. And then now with oil squirted in there, cylinder 1, 175, cylinder 2, 185, cylinder 3, 195, cylinder 4, 185, cylinder 5, 185, cylinder 6, 182. So what that tells us is how good the cylinder is actually sealing, and it's so close to the original numbers that everything is still pretty good. I don't think that there's anything worn out or anything crazy happening in the motor, and that is very promising. That was a good test for us. If you have any questions about that, I'll link my how to compression test your engine down below. Okay, well, spark plugs are all back together, cowls put back on. Now we can move on to the next thing. $148,545. Whoa, what's that all about? See how it just kind of revs up and down? I'm assuming that's a vacuum leak. Well, now this is very interesting. When I push on the gas, that's new. It kind of hangs. Very interesting. What did I not hook up? Well, I'm gonna check a few things.